What's up everyone? Happy Friday, Anthony Seratelli here. And before we get into today's episode, I wanted to quickly mention that yesterday I had the honor of being on my first iFilmmaker podcast with Mr. Ariel Martinez. Most of you probably know him as he runs the very popular Instagram account @FilmSchool. His podcast is educational and informative and just a fun, laid-back way to spread filmmaking knowledge, and I'm extremely excited to be a part of it. You can check it out by clicking above or of course in the description below, where I'll put a link to that and all of Ariel's other social medias as well. So I encourage you to check it out, but for now, let's get back to your regularly scheduled programming. Hello and welcome to another Road to Red episode. I'm Anthony Seratelli of Jersey Filmmaker, and today I want to talk about the Red camera's histogram. Now, a histogram is not the most accurate way to expose your image. I would definitely recommend using a waveform monitor or false color, but because of the way that Red has their histogram set up, it is a solid, quick way to reference your exposure and see where you're at. But for now, we're just going to talk about the histogram on a Red, so let's jump over here and see what it's all about. The histogram is located on the bottom left side of the screen. If you look closely though, you'll notice two other things that are relevant right beside it. One being the goalposts on the outer edge of the histogram, and the other being the traffic light looking signal to the right of it. Let's first just talk about the histogram itself. You'll notice that it's not just your generic Luma histogram showing you readings on the amount of light in your shadow and highlight channels. Instead, it's an RGB histogram showing you the amount of light in your red, green, and blue channels. This not only helps you with exposure, but can also help you white balance your image. Again, not the most accurate by any means, but a nice quick reference if you are running and gunning. To do this, try to find something in your shot or on set that is pure white and preferably about a 90% reflectance. You don't want to pick something like the sun bouncing off a white car. That would be way too bright. But something like a piece of paper with whatever lighting you'll be using in your scene should help you get pretty close. Don't forget, this is metadata when you're recording in RAW, so you can change this in post. Back to the histogram itself though. To keep your image exposed without blowing out any of the highlights or crushing any of the shadows, you'll have to keep your levels between the goalposts. These goalposts on a Red camera that pump out a meter reading represent about a quarter of the pixels in the image on both the highlight and shadow sides. If your image is overexposed, you will see the red bar start creeping up on the right goalpost. Conversely, if you are underexposed, you will see the red bar creeping up on the left goalpost. It will depend on the overall composition and lighting of your image, but from my experience, it seems that you could push your shadow goalpost to about 50% and still come away with some acceptable noise. On the other side, you don't want to toy with the highlight goalpost at all, so if you see the meter showing any type of reading, pull your exposure down. And finally, we have the traffic lights. These lights to the right of the histogram represent the RGB channels. When about 2% of the image pixels for a particular color channel have become clipped, the corresponding traffic light will turn on. This is helpful because if just one of your channels is clipping, that color will light up, whereas you might not get a reading at all on the goalpost because this is an overall reading of the image. So if we just had goalposts and no traffic lights, you might not know that you're slightly overexposed in one of your channels and potentially losing highlight detail. But with both the goalposts and traffic lights, it gives you an extra outlet to read your highlight levels. So pretty cool how Red has provided these things standard on the camera's menu. You can also set a custom key to access false color, my preferred way to gauge exposure, but we'll talk about that another time. And that's all for this episode. I hope it was helpful. If you liked it, please click the like button, subscribe, and hit that little bell so you can get alerts to all future episodes. Any comments or questions, please leave them below or contact me on my social medias @Jersey Filmmaker. Thanks so much for watching this Road to Red episode. Get out there, expose correctly, and I'll see you next time.